Doctor, I don't understand. I did everything right. Why is my body falling apart now? James Carter is 74 years old. He says that sentence sitting on the edge of an exam table, hands resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the floor. Not angry, not scared, just confused. This is not a man who ignored his health. James lives in a quiet suburb outside Pennsylvania. Every morning looks almost exactly the same. He wakes up early, pours himself a cup of black coffee, reads the local paper from front to back, takes his dog for a slow walk around the block. He eats simple American food, nothing fancy, nothing extreme. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't eat fast food. No burgers every night, no sodas, no late-night junk. And every single day, without fail, he eats fruit. Because fruit is healthy, because fruit is safe, because fruit is what you're supposed to eat when you're trying to take care of yourself. James has been doing that for decades. That's why this moment makes no sense to him. This could be you, or your father, or the man who lives next door. James didn't come to the doctor because he felt sick. This was just a routine visit. The kind you schedule once a year to make sure everything's fine. He felt okay. Maybe a little more tired than he used to be, but who isn't at his age? Then the numbers came back. His A1C was higher than last year, not catastrophic, but trending up. His liver enzymes were mildly elevated. Nothing dramatic, but not normal. His heart rhythm, a little irregular, just enough to notice. The room went quiet. James looked up and said the words almost every doctor hears from seniors sooner or later. "Doctor, I didn't change anything. I eat fruit every day." That sentence hangs in the air. Because he's telling the truth. Let me ask you something. If fruit is healthy, why are so many older adults getting sicker? Why are people who eat clean, who follow the rules, who do what they're told, suddenly dealing with diabetes, heart rhythm problems, fatty liver, kidney issues? According to the CDC, more than half of Americans over 65 are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. Medicare data shows metabolic disease doesn't slowly creep in. It accelerates after 70. That's not because seniors suddenly become reckless. It's because something no one explains to them has already changed. Here's the truth most people never hear. The problem is not what you eat, it's when you eat it in your life. Your body at 40 is not your body at 70. And some foods, especially certain fruits, don't cause problems loudly. They don't make you feel sick right away. They don't hurt immediately. They work quietly, day after day, year after year, slowly pushing blood sugar higher, slowly straining the liver, slowly disrupting the heart. James didn't know that yet, and neither do most people watching this. But before we finish this story, you're going to learn about 5 common fruits. Fruits most seniors trust. That may be silently working against your health right now. Not today, not all at once, one by one. And what happens next starts with the first mistake almost everyone overlooks. Today, I'm going to show you exactly which fruits are poisoning you and which ones will save you. Before we start, hit that like button and comment your age below. Let's begin. James wasn't confused because he felt sick. He was confused because nothing felt different. His mornings were the same. His habits were the same. His discipline was the same. What changed was something he couldn't see. After 70, the human body doesn't collapse. It recalibrates. Quietly. The first shift happens in the pancreas. When you're younger, insulin responds fast and aggressively. After 70, that response drops by 40 to 50%. The food hits your bloodstream the same way, but insulin arrives late and weaker. Blood sugar stays elevated longer. Not enough to knock you down, just enough to slowly wear you out. The National Institutes of Health has documented this decline clearly. It's not disease, it's age. Next comes the liver. Most people think sugar is sugar, but your liver doesn't. Glucose can be handled by many cells in the body. Fructose goes straight to the liver. And after 70, the liver processes fructose far more slowly. The National Institute on Aging shows that aging livers convert excess fructose into fat more easily. even in people who never drink alcohol, never eat fast food, never break the rules. No pain, no alarm, just accumulation. Then there are the kidneys, the silent workers. Here's the part most seniors never hear. Your kidneys can lose up to 40% of their filtering capacity with age, even if every doctor has ever told you your kidneys are fine. Mayo Clinic research calls this normal age-related decline. Normal does not mean harmless. It means minerals, sugars, and metabolic byproducts stay in your system longer than they used to. James didn't have a failing organ. He had aging organs, and aging organs play by different rules. This is the sentence that changes everything. You are eating for the body you used to have. At 40, your body forgives. At 70, it remembers. The same foods, the same portions, a completely different outcome. And this is where the danger hides. Because there are 5 fruits, common, familiar, trusted, that millions of seniors eat every day believing they're protecting their health. After 70, those same fruits can quietly push blood sugar higher, strain the liver, and stress the heart, without causing pain, without causing warning. James was eating all of them, and he had no idea which ones were working against him. This is the first fruit, the first of 5, and it's the one almost no one suspects: watermelon. In America, watermelon feels harmless. It's summer food, backyard food, the kind of food you eat without thinking. James eats it in the afternoon after working in the yard, sometimes while the grill is heating up, sometimes standing at the kitchen counter, knife still in his hand. It doesn't feel like overeating. It feels like hydration. It's mostly water, people say. Better than dessert, better than cookies. So no one measures it. A slice becomes 2. 2 become a bowl. A bowl becomes half a watermelon. Have you ever eaten watermelon and never counted how much? That's the trap. According to the American Diabetes Association, watermelon has a glycemic index of 72, higher than white bread. That number surprises people, because watermelon doesn't taste heavy. It doesn't taste sweet enough to be dangerous. But glycemic index doesn't care how something tastes. It measures how fast sugar hits your bloodstream. Clinical studies on older adults show that watermelon can cause rapid glucose spikes, especially in seniors whose insulin response has already slowed. 2 cups of watermelon can raise blood sugar dramatically within minutes. 5 cups? That's nearly 40 grams of sugar moving fast, with almost no fiber to slow it down. James didn't feel sick after eating it. He felt refreshed. That's why it worked against him so quietly. His pancreas scrambled, his insulin lagged. His blood sugar stayed high longer than it should have. Not high enough to send him to the hospital, just high enough to move his A1C up, visit by visit. This is how damage happens after 70. Not with pain, with repetition. Watermelon didn't cause James's problems overnight. It helped cause them every summer. And here's the part no one connects. Watermelon is also high in potassium. For younger bodies, that's manageable. For aging kidneys, already filtering less, it adds another silent strain. James thought he was making the smart choice. He was doing what millions of Americans do every summer, and watermelon was only the beginning. Because the next fruit on this list isn't seasonal. It's eaten year-round, often in the morning, often for the heart. And it creates a very different kind of problem. After watermelon, James didn't think about fruit changing with the seasons. This one was different. This one was daily. Bananas were part of his morning routine. A banana in a smoothie, sometimes with oats, sometimes with yogurt. Easy, familiar. The kind of habit you build because you believe it's good for your heart. That's what James believed. He was taking blood pressure medication, nothing unusual. Millions of Americans his age are. What he didn't know was how these 2 things were interacting inside his body. Bananas are rich in potassium. That's usually considered a good thing. But many common blood pressure medications are potassium-sparing. They are designed to keep potassium in your system, not flush it out. So when you combine the 2, something changes. Potassium starts to accumulate. According to the Mayo Clinic, aging kidneys already clear potassium more slowly. Add potassium-sparing medication, and the margin for error shrinks fast. The American Heart Association warns that elevated potassium levels can interfere with normal heart rhythm, especially in older adults. James didn't feel pain. He felt occasional fluttering, a brief tightness in his chest that came and went. Nothing dramatic enough to stop his routine. That's the danger, because potassium imbalance doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers. Do you know what your medication does to potassium? Most people don't. James didn't. He thought bananas were helping his heart. He didn't realize they were quietly increasing the strain on it. One banana doesn't seem like much, but day after day, week after week, the math changes. This wasn't about eating something bad. It was about combining the wrong food with the wrong medication at the wrong age. And bananas were just the second fruit, still trusted, still defended, still eaten with confidence. But there are 3 more on this list. And one of them hides in plain sight, usually eaten at night, usually by the handful, usually while people are distracted. James was eating that one too. By the time evening comes, James feels like he's earned a break. Dinner is done, the dishes are in the sink, the TV is on, baseball, evening news, something familiar in the background. That's when the bowl comes out. Just a bowl of grapes. Not candy, not chips, fruit. Healthy. He eats them without thinking, one after another. They're small, light, easy. Just a bowl, people say, but no one ever counts how many. What most people don't realize is how grapes behave inside an aging body. Grapes are loaded with oxalates, natural compounds that bind with calcium in the kidneys. When you're younger, healthy kidneys flush oxalates out efficiently. After 70, that changes. According to the National Institutes of Health, kidney function declines naturally with age, even when lab results still look normal. Oxalates don't clear as easily. They begin to crystallize. That's how kidney stones form. James didn't know this yet, but the woman sitting 2 chairs down from him in the clinic did. She was 70 years old, retired, calm. She told her doctor she had woken up one night with pain so sharp it took her breath away. A scan confirmed kidney stones. When the doctor asked about her diet, she answered confidently, "I eat healthy," she said, "mostly fruit, especially grapes." Research from US-based kidney stone studies shows that diets high in oxalate-rich foods significantly increase stone risk in older adults. And grapes don't just stress the kidneys. They deliver sugar fast. A cup of grapes contains over 20 grams of sugar, absorbed quickly, with very little fiber to slow it down. Raisins are worse. When grapes are dried, the water disappears, the sugar doesn't. A small box of raisins is the sugar equivalent of several cups of grapes. James liked those too. They felt harmless. They felt controlled. They weren't. This is how the third fruit works against you, quietly, at night, while you're relaxed, while you're distracted. James thought he was winding down. Instead, his kidneys and blood sugar were being pushed, again. And there are still 2 more fruits left. One is often poured into a glass in the morning. The other usually comes as a gift. And both feel just as innocent. Morning feels different from night. At night, people snack. In the morning, they try to be healthy. That's where pineapple shows up. James doesn't always eat it with a fork. Sometimes it's poured into a glass. Juice, bright, cold, refreshing. Marketed as clean fuel to start the day. In American culture, juice feels responsible. It feels like something doctors would approve of. That's the illusion. When fruit is juiced, something critical disappears. Fiber. Fiber is what slows sugar down. It's what gives your body time to respond. When you remove it, sugar hits fast. All at once. According to Harvard Health, fruit juice causes rapid glucose absorption, especially in older adults whose insulin response is already delayed. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has repeatedly shown that liquid sugar spikes blood glucose higher and faster than solid food. James never felt that spike. He felt energized. That's why juice is dangerous. One glass of pineapple juice contains the sugar of multiple whole fruits, without the fullness, without the breaks. So ask yourself this: would you ever eat 4 pineapples at once? Because that's what a single glass of juice can do. Pineapple doesn't taste aggressive. It tastes light, tropical, clean. But inside an aging body, it moves fast. Blood sugar rises. Insulin lags behind. And what isn't used immediately gets stored, often as fat in the liver. James drank juice believing he was giving his body vitamins. He didn't realize he was flooding his system with sugar his body could no longer manage efficiently. This wasn't about excess. It was about form. Solid fruit versus liquid sugar. The 4th fruit didn't need to be eaten in large portions to cause trouble. It just needed to be drunk. James trusted juice. So do millions of Americans over 70. And that leaves just one fruit left. The one almost no one questions. The one people defend hardest. The one that feels like a gift, especially from family. This one didn't come from the grocery list. It came from love. James didn't buy mangoes for himself. His grandkids did. They showed up one afternoon with a bag from the store, proud of their choice. "Here, Grandpa," they said. "It's fruit. It's healthy." And James smiled. Because you don't question a gift like that, especially when it comes from family, especially when it's fruit. Mango tastes different from the others, richer, softer, almost indulgent. But it still carries that same promise. Natural equals safe. What most people don't realize is how mango is handled inside an aging body. Mango is loaded with fructose. Fructose doesn't get processed throughout the body the way glucose does. It goes straight to the liver. According to the American Liver Foundation, excess fructose is one of the strongest drivers of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, especially in older adults. And this matters more after 70. Fructose metabolism studies show that aging livers convert fructose into fat more efficiently, not energy. That fat doesn't leave. It stays. James didn't drink alcohol. He didn't eat fast food. He didn't live recklessly. Yet his liver enzymes began creeping upward, mildly elevated, then persistently elevated. Nothing dramatic enough to scare him. That's how mango works against you, quietly. A few slices in the afternoon, a bowl shared with family, a habit that feels harmless, even loving. But over time, fructose overload forces the liver to store fat it can't clear. And once that process starts, it doesn't announce itself with pain. It shows up on a lab report. James thought mango was a treat. He didn't realize it was the final piece of a pattern. Watermelon strained his blood sugar. Bananas stressed his heart chemistry. Grapes pushed his kidneys. Juice flooded his system. And mango? Mango targeted his liver. 5 fruits, all trusted, all familiar, and all quietly working against a body that had changed, whether James knew it or not. What matters now isn't blame. It's what comes next. Because once James understood what to remove, the next question became unavoidable. If these fruits were hurting him, what should he eat instead? James sat quietly after hearing it all. Not defensive, not angry, just still. Then he looked up and asked the question every senior eventually asks, the one that comes after fear, after confusion, after realization. So, what can I eat? That question matters. Because this story was never about taking everything away. It was never about cutting food until life feels empty. The doctor didn't tell James to stop eating fruit. He told him to stop eating fruit that no longer matched his body. This wasn't about eating less. It was about eating differently. James didn't need extremes. He didn't need rules written in stone. He needed alignment. Foods that worked with an aging pancreas. Foods that didn't overload a slowing liver. Foods that respected kidneys doing less than they used to. That's when the tone of the conversation changed. Less warning, more clarity. James realized something important in that moment. Nothing was wrong with him. His body wasn't broken. It was older. And older bodies need different fuel. That realization didn't make him anxious. It made him relieved. Because it meant the damage wasn't inevitable. It meant there was a way forward that didn't involve deprivation, only smarter choices. James didn't leave the office feeling restricted. He left feeling equipped, and for the first time since those lab numbers came back, he felt something else. Control. Because once you know what to remove, the next step becomes clear. You replace it, not with fear, not with guesswork, but with foods that protect instead of strain, foods that support instead of spike. And that's where this story turns from warning to solution. James didn't walk out of the doctor's office with a long list. He walked out with 5, not superfoods, not trends, just foods that make sense for an aging body. Blueberries were first, not because they're popular, but because they work where aging hurts most. Blood vessels stiffen with age. They lose flexibility. That's what raises stroke risk. Blueberries are rich in anthocyanins, compounds shown to support blood vessel health. A long-term study published by Harvard-affiliated researchers found that adults who regularly consumed blueberries had a significantly lower risk of stroke. Not a miracle. A measurable difference. James didn't need a supplement. He added half a cup of blueberries to plain Greek yogurt in the morning. No sugar, no juice. Just simple, steady protection. Next came apples. Not apple juice, not applesauce. Whole apples, with the skin. Apples contain pectin, a soluble fiber that binds to LDL cholesterol and helps remove it from the body. Research from Ohio State University showed that eating 1 apple a day reduced bad cholesterol by over 20% in just 4 weeks. That matters after 70, when arteries don't recover as easily. James ate 1 apple about 30 minutes before breakfast. It wasn't dramatic. It was consistent. And consistency is what aging bodies respond to best. Tomatoes surprised James, especially the part about cooking them. When tomatoes are heated, they release lycopene, a powerful antioxidant linked to reduced blood clot formation. According to US-based cardiovascular research, cooked tomatoes increase lycopene absorption by up to 300%. Blood clots are the leading cause of stroke. That made tomatoes more than a vegetable. They became protection. James sautéed tomatoes with eggs and olive oil a few mornings a week. Nothing fancy. Just warm, familiar food, doing quiet work. Avocados came next. They don't contain sugar. Not a trace. Instead, they're rich in monounsaturated fats, which slow digestion and stabilize blood sugar. The American Heart Association has linked regular avocado consumption to improved cholesterol balance and reduced cardiovascular risk. James added half an avocado to his lunch salad. He noticed something quickly. He didn't crash in the afternoon anymore. His energy stayed level. That's what stable blood sugar feels like. The last food focused on defense. Kiwi. 1 kiwi contains more than 100% of the daily vitamin C requirement. Vitamin C isn't just about colds. It supports immune response, something that naturally weakens with age. A study from New Zealand tracking older adults found that those who ate kiwi daily had significantly fewer respiratory infections. James ate 1 kiwi in the afternoon. Skin on. Washed. Simple. None of these foods asked James to suffer. None asked him to give up eating. They respected where his body was, not where it used to be. And that made all the difference. 3 months passed. Then 6. James didn't feel like a different man. He felt like himself again. The next set of labs told the story his body had been trying to tell quietly for years. His A1C came down, not dramatically, but clearly. His liver enzymes returned to normal range. The numbers stopped creeping upward. The irregular heart rhythm? Gone. Nothing about his life became extreme. He didn't starve. He didn't obsess. He didn't live in fear of food. He just stopped fighting his age. James sat back in the same exam room, on the same table, across from the same doctor. This time, his posture was different. He wasn't confused. He wasn't asking why. He already knew. And when the doctor looked up from the chart, James said something simple, something that explained everything without sounding like advice or regret. "I didn't eat less," he said. "I ate smarter." That sentence matters, because it means this story was never about discipline. James had discipline. It was about alignment, matching food to the body he has now, not the one he remembers. James didn't turn back time. He stopped working against it. And that's the part most people miss. Aging doesn't mean decline is automatic. It means the rules change. When you learn the new rules, your body responds. Quietly, steadily, without drama. James didn't chase health. He stopped blocking it. Before this story ends, pause for a moment. Not to judge yourself, not to change everything overnight. Just to ask the right questions, because health after 70 doesn't collapse suddenly. It drifts, unless you pay attention. So ask yourself this. Do you know your A1C, not last year but now? Do you know how your kidneys are really doing? Not just whether they're fine, but whether they've slowed with age? And, most important of all, do the foods you trust every day still make sense with the medications you're taking? Those questions don't demand fear. They invite clarity. James didn't change his life by chasing perfection. He changed it by asking better questions and listening to the answers. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things at the right time in your life. Because aging isn't a failure. And your 70s don't have to be the beginning of decline. If this information helped you, share it with someone you love. Hit that like button, comment your age below, subscribe to this channel. I share life-saving health information every week. Your 70s, 80s, 90s can be your healthiest years. It starts with the choices you make today.